Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I beg to Dr. BACHAR. My name is Farah Yasmin, Binti MOHAMAD, and my metric number is 2014078. So in this discussion, I will be addressing on the issue on how the religious bond of Islamic Brotherhood during COVID-19 was put into practice. So in this discussion, I will only be focusing on two aspects, which is the consisted of the success and also the failures on how the Muslims put into actions the sense of Islamic Brotherhood in coping with a disease called as COVID-19. So as we know that recently every individual around the globe was overwhelmed by the numerous news that conquered the world, namely the novel coronavirus 2019, or can be known as COVID-19. So this pandemic has affected every area of life, whether it is from the economic, social, and also religious. Alright, so the first success that can be seen in putting Islamic Brotherhood into practice is initiated by the government. So the government had actually endorsed a policy, namely the public is prevented from performing the congregational prayer. So this can be shown that there is an effort by the government to prevent the disease from spreading through the congregational prayer. However, the state government had eventually decided to allow the public to visit the mosque and also surrounds, but with certain procedures and guidelines that needs to be followed by them. So it is evidently can be seen that the prevention done by the government in not allowing the congregational prayer here is done because there is a case where when a person can be infected due to the COVID-19 cases when they are performing the congregational prayer. So for example, in the case of Orchid in Alostar, so there are 15 people actually died due to being infected with COVID-19, which the death happened during they are performing the congregational prayer. So this portrays that the government had actually prevented the congregational prayer to be done is because this is in line or in accordance with the Maqasid Sharia, or can be known as the objectives of Sharia. So as we all know that one of the objectives of Sharia is protection of life. So preventing the congregational prayer to be done here is considered as one of the protection of life in preserving the life in order to prevent the public from being affected with the COVID-19 disease that can cause death to human being. And we can see that all Muslims people had worked hand in hand together with the government in order to prevent the disease of COVID-19 from being infected. So if there are no initiatives by the public and also by the government to follow the orders, then the success in avoiding such disease will not be able to be achieved and by all people. So, having done with the first occasion that portrays the success of government in tackling the issue of COVID-19, we will now be focusing on the initiatives by the individual to tackle this issue of COVID-19 disease and put the sense of Islamic Brotherhood into practice. So, this can be seen, for example, Abid Yu, who is one of the prominent figure in spreading Islamic da'wah, who recently in 2021 donated a bus to the hospital called as Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital, which is to take COVID-19 patients to the quarantine center. So he mentioned that when there is a need for buses to be equipped by the hospitals in order to take the COVID-19 patients to the quarantine center easily. So this will facilitate the journey of the COVID-19 patients to be taken to the quarantine center. So this portrays that all the Muslims, not only the government but the individual, need to have the plan or initiative to curb this issue of COVID-19 into practice and to inculcate the sense of Islamic Brotherhood. So here, this portrays that all the Muslims need to recognize and acknowledge the sense of brotherhood that is portrayed by Abid Yu here in helping those who are in need. Other than that, we can also see that there are initiatives initiated by the non-governmental organization, not only by the government, but non-governmental organization in helping or assisting in tackling the issue of COVID-19 disease. So there is a program called as Mission to help Ummah COVID-19, promoted by Haliza Halmi, is also one of the most prominent figure in spreading Islamic dakwah in Islam, or can be known as Islamic activists, which this program actually intended to help the Muslims who are in need, whose countries are affected, such as Gaza, Syria, Africa, and others. So this shows that there are actually many non-governmental organizations that have the initiative in helping or assisting the Muslims in need who are in the state of necessity. Okay, now we will get into the second part of the discussion, which is focusing on the failures faced by the Muslim effort in coping with such pandemic. So as stated in the article published by the National University of Malaysia entitled as Community Non-Compliance with the Standards of Procedures Causes Increase in COVID-19 Cases in Malaysia. So this article actually highlighted that the increase of COVID-19 cases had been increasing lately due to the negligence committed by the community themselves. So for example, there is a case occurred in Kedah where the medical center staff was not wearing a mask in dealing with the non-COVID-19 patients. So even though they are dealing with the non-COVID-19 patients, but they are required by law in order to wear a mask. So this itself shows that the Muslim community themselves is against the law and not following the standard of procedure initiated by the government. So this will cause problems because the Muslim community will fail in tackling such an issue if there is no cooperation and collaboration between them in solving this issue. So this had caused the failures for the Muslim community in putting the sense of Islamic brotherhood into practice. Therefore, it is vital for the Muslim to inculcate the spirit of Islamic brotherhood in their life in dealing with any kind of issues and problems, as this will bring social justice and it can portray the equality as emphasized in Islam, which is called as Al-Adil. So unity in Islam is vital and important as it can bring people together, creating love, harmony and generosity among the Muslims in spreading kindness to the others. So when we are spreading the kindness to the others, this will bring us closer to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So the spirit of brotherhood is an evidence when there is no inequality between the individuals and lack of difference in terms of ethnic group, tribe and race. So what is the most important is the submission to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala in order to attain His mercy, not only in this dunya but also in akhirah. Therefore, I end this video with the very words of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala as stated in Surah Al-Hujurat verse 13.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير.
Thank you to Dr. Bachar for giving me this opportunity in making such a video. I hope this video will be beneficial to everyone. Thank you.